Thank you. Senator Tuberville.
Thank you. Mr. Kim, you touched on this very briefly in your opening statement. The EU and UK are moving quickly to attract, blockchain-based innovation. What risks are we at in the United States? What are we going to face if we don't get more urgent about what's going on? I recently talked to some exchanges, and they're freaking out basically about, hey, we've got to do something or we're going to have to move out of the country. What's your thoughts?
Thank you very much for your question, Senator. As I mentioned in my testimony, it is a global race to the top. So other jurisdictions have not been waiting for the U.S. to lead. You have the EU, Singapore, Japan, UK, all looking to attract technology resources. I see blockchain development and digital assets as the plumbing and infrastructure for the second half of the 21st century. We need the U.S. to lead. That said, despite the progress in other jurisdictions, everyone is watching the U.S. now. They're seeing the Senate having passed Genius. They're seeing development of market structure bill, including in this committee. And even the UK is actually a really good example, Senator, where they had been taking a very modular, patient approach, but recently they announced an all-at-once approach. And I believe that there's an opportunity for the U.S. to cement its leadership and make sure this innovation stays here in the U.S., and that starts with a comprehensive legislative framework, as I discussed, Senator.
Thank you. Ms. Sexton, you want to follow up on that? You got anything on that about us dragging our feet?
Senator, I encourage this committee and the House to continue to work on legislation in this area. I think it's very important. I can tell you that from our perspective, we have, as I indicated, member firms already engaged in this activity, and to the extent that the CFTC would be provided with not only anti-fraud, but also regulatory oversight over digital commodities, I think it'd be very helpful as far as our own regulatory structure here.
Thank you, Mr. Benham. The U.S. model of having two regulators, and we touched on this briefly, only works if they are a clear jurisdiction. You're very familiar with that. Can you talk about the need to clear up, this regulatory definition between the CFTC and the SEC?
Senator, thanks for the question. It's the first and most important step, because from that point, the two agencies will be able to really start to develop rules either distinctly and uniquely or in a joint fashion. But this is certainly a new asset that has a lot of characteristics that are similar to other assets, but also have a lot of characteristics that are novel and new and are going to require a different way of thinking about. So I do think it's critically important. I also think, putting myself in my old shoes, it is important that the agencies get a bit of a steer from this committee and Congress, because there are lines that I think this committee and the Congress can draw to help the agencies start to really define the landscape of what tokens are securities and what tokens are commodities.
Thank you. I yield back.